Welcome to A Day in the Life on the Farm. Hey everyone, welcome to the Farmhouse Mom. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie, and I have a dairy goat herd in the Ozark Mountains here in Missouri. I'm also a 49-year-old mom to two boys, 5 and 14 years old. Today, I'm going to take you along a fairly typical day as we do farm chores and get some things done around the farm, kind of our daily activities. We first start out by feeding the little girls. If you saw that little bunch of little baby goats eating out of their little black feeder dish, those were what we call the juniors or the junies. And then I go and milk the big girls, which is what we call our adult does, or the does that we are milking. So we've got our junies, which is our juniors, and then our big girls. I'm only milking 5 does right now, actually 4. I'm drying this doe off, Blanche, and drying off basically just means I'm milking her less and less. And so instead of twice a day milking, I'm only doing once a day. And then soon I will go to where I'm just milking her every other day, and it's just a supply and demand thing. Imagine if her babies were still with her, and as they grow up, they're just not drinking very much, and so her milk supply will dry up. And that's usually a process that takes, a few weeks or a month. So, all right, so now we are back to the junior pen, and today I am going to worm everybody. I noticed when I was out in the field with some of my junior girls that they had a little bit of tapeworm. Disgusting, I know, but we live by quite a few woods, and so we have deer that come through the property, and so if they're out there grazing, they definitely can pick up parasites from wild animals, and so we only worm them when it is necessary. So if you see what I'm doing here, I am trying to be as gentle as possible, but we call this piranha time, where they are not drinking from a bottle anymore, but they're not quite adults, and they're still very nippy. They'll bite you, and so I'm kind of employing some offensive moves here, defensive moves to try to stop them from biting me. But all in all, they're pretty good. I'm just giving them a little medication, and I'm just putting it, in their mouth with a little syringe. And so I think we're all done there, and we've got one more. But after that, we are going to go ahead and move to the big girls' pen, because if I'm going to kind of hit all of them, if I notice that, one of them has worms, which is not really a really serious thing, but that probably means they all do because they've been all out in the same field. So I am now with my big girls, and we are going to go ahead and get everybody. I try to do the ones that are, kind of run away from me. I try to do that first. I only have 2 of them that are that way. So this is one of them, Easy, and I'm going to go ahead. She's one of our older girls, and I'm going to go ahead and get her. And then the goats are curious, and so it's quite a feat to film while you are trying to do anything around the farm, because the goats are definitely curious. They definitely will come up and, they want to know what you're doing. I really enjoy having a smaller herd. I've had upwards of 80 goats, and that, as you can imagine, takes a lot of time to trim their hooves if everybody needs medication for that day, or just really anything. The amount of feed or the amount of hay that you have to buy obviously is increased. And so here we are entering the cardio portion of the morning. This is my oldest goat, Paloma. She is pregnant, so I'm trying to be really careful not to squeeze her sides. But she is a friendly goat, but she is just smart, and she knows if you're coming for her, and she will run away. So thankfully she's old, and I can, chase her down by myself if need be. All right, now we're gonna move over to the boys. They're really stinky right now because they're in rut, and we are currently breeding. We usually have them away from the girls, but we need to know if the girls are in heat.
and then I'll come get you.
And I feel like I have to apologize for what I'm wearing, but I see all of those channels where they're wearing like their white sundresses, and I'm actually physically working the animals and the livestock. So, and these boys are so stinky. So when I'm outside and I'm working animals, I apologize, but I'm going to be wearing my scrubby clothes because I'm going to get disgusting. Okay. So we're done worming our goats. I put on my JCPenney tank top for you just to be a little more fancy. And we're gonna make Jackie some sourdough toast with jelly.
Both.
You want both of them to be jellies?
Yes.
Okay.
I love jelly.
And then we need to clean this kitchen up.
Mom, so we're making a video today?
We're making a video today. We're gonna show everybody what we do every day. So our schedule has been off since school started. So I have my 14-year-old that's in school and then my 5-year-old who's homeschooled. And so we usually drop off the 14-year-old for cross-country practice at like 6:30. And so while we generally eat together all the time in the summertime, in school time, he goes and does his track. And then Eric and I actually don't usually eat breakfast. We just have coffee. And Jack is going to have his breakfast. We're going to clean the kitchen. Eric went grocery shopping yesterday and my kitchen was not ready for all of the new groceries. So we're gonna need to clean the fridge, clean the pantry, get that all up. We've got some homeschooling and I'm teaching my bar class at 4. So we're gonna run down to the bank, teach our class, dinner, and then milk. That's pretty much how our day's gonna go. So let's go ahead and have our breakfast.
Ooh.
Ooh. For me, doing the dishes is the one thing that is non-negotiable that I have to keep on top of because we have an open kitchen, dining, living, and so you would see the big mess. I may be behind on laundry, I may be behind on vacuuming, but I always try to get the dishes done every night and every morning. What about you guys? What is the one thing that absolutely has to be done before you go to bed? And I was doing the dishes and all of the girls are out, so I must have not shut that gate very well. Come on, girls, let's go. Get him, Rosie, get him. Bring him here, Rose. Rosie has just started working the girls herself. She's doing pretty good, yeah. Go get them, Lily. Go get the rest of them. All right, now go get those other ones. There you go. There you go. All right, go get the rest of them. Rosie. Come on, girls. Rosie, lay down. Lay down, Rose. All right. It took a little while, but we got it. Okay. All right, there you go, girls. You stay with the big girls today. Okay, now that we have all the goats back where they belong, we're going to finish the dishes and I'm going to wipe off the counters. And you generally use a essential oil, vinegar, water mix. I think sometimes I put a drop of dishwashing liquid, but that usually works pretty good. But the best thing that I use to clean off my counters is my bench scraper. I use that thing almost every day, and I think I got this one my favorite one that I use all the time. I got it at Walmart on clearance for 25 cents. It's the best thing that I've ever bought. And so if you don't have a little bench scraper like this, it's well worth the time because it just works really well at a lot of different things. And one of the last things I do is clean up my cast iron pans. I typically do not wash those with soap and water. If I need to, I do it. You know, I don't freak out about that like some people do. But generally, I can just heat it up a little bit, put a little coconut oil, and shine it up until it gets, nice and shiny and clean. And this is what I'm doing now, just kind of finishing that one up. And I also just keep them on my stove. They're so heavy. I will put them kind of in the stove, underneath in the broiler area, but I really haven't found a good solution of, where to keep my cast iron except just on my stove. Do you have any tips on how you store your cast iron that does not, it's not like a huge pain to always be moving them all the time? If you do, I would love to hear any storage solutions that you have, because for now, they just go right back on the stove. And of course, the last task to a clean kitchen is scrubbing the sink down. It feels like I do that twice a day just because we're always making sourdough, and it just seems like there is bits of bread like constantly on the sink. And so I make sure that I do that. With the sink and the counters are not done, it just does not feel like it's clean. Jackson has been doing really good with his homeschooling, and for now, I've thought about doing like IXL learning or different things online, but for now, I really want to keep him off technology and just do books and just writing. What do you guys do? Do you guys do a mix or just one? So it's just now 10 o'clock. We had a little bit of a late start this morning, but I like to make dinner before noon. And so we are going to have tacos tonight. It's Taco Tuesday. I'm gonna make some sourdough flatbread and have that fermenting all day. It'll be ready by this evening, and then I'll basically have dinner done. I'll just have to do some ground beef in a pan, and we'll be ready for tacos. I typically will bake something sourdough every day. One, I have, 3 boys in the house, 2 men and a boy, and so nothing fills them up and kind of fills in the gaps of dinner when you can't think of anything to make like sourdough. So if you have bread or whatever you can do, it's really versatile and easy once you kind of get in the hang of it. And then that also allows me to feed my sourdough starter every day and make it nice and strong, which is what I'm doing right now. And I just do equal parts water, equal parts flour, and just set it on the counter. I typically will make pancakes every morning, and also this sourdough flatbread tortilla recipe is something that I make, I'd say at least 3 times a week, and also lets me use my goat milk, which anytime I can have a recipe where I'm using goat milk from the farm, 1, that saves us money, and 2, we drink raw milk. Controversial, I know, but lots of vitamins, lots of minerals for the boys, and it's something that's on hand. All right, so the kitchen is clean. We've got dinner started, and we need to put the groceries away and do the pantry and the refrigerator. But I still have this, which I am the queen of starting a project, not finishing it. So I started cleaning my junk drawer yesterday. I still have these scraps left. I'm gonna get rid of these, and I think I'm gonna go out and spray this with some white enamel. That's what I have this sitting here for. So we'll put the junk drawer stuff away, go out and spray paint this, and then we'll get started on the pantry and the groceries. I feel like since we've been living the farm life for the past, 5, 6, 8 years, the produce that we use is mostly apples, bananas, and avocados. Part of that, I think, is we're really just going grocery shopping about once a month. We tend to keep the ingredients and staples on hand, and so we just try to, limit the time that we are going into town. And apples go really quickly with the boys. Bananas can always be made into banana bread, and, avocados don't last long around here. Unfortunately, those were not ripe enough for Taco Tuesday, so we had to have those the next night. I got this little cutting board at the thrift store. I think I got it for $1. Of course, the most important part of the day for Jackson is making sure that we know how many days are till Halloween. We're going to go ahead and move on and clean out the refrigerator. I feel like we have meat, eggs, and like a ton of condiments. My husband is like condiment crazy. I cannot stand having like all of the condiments in the refrigerator. They take up so much space, but you know, it is what it is. And I just try to wipe it down every time we get new groceries. We typically pull out what we need for the week and defrost the meat in the refrigerator as well. And then every homesteader's shame, we had to buy eggs yesterday. Our girls are not producing. We've got to get some lights in the coop. And then basically just kind of like my jars of sun-dried tomatoes. I've got some yeast and just like leftovers. So it's basically kind of how it looks for us. And we've got the fridge done.
Time to go.
Let's do the pantry.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the pantry and check out my new thrifted item that I got for 25 cents. It's like one of those little wood wreaths. I'll let you see it close. But it's so beautiful and I think it looks really good on the black door. And I made a little cricket off a little 1950s vintage dish. I used my cricket and made a little happy Halloween. And then, do you want to show what we did yesterday, Jackie, or a few days ago? We styled our hutch. You want to go over there so you can show? We styled our hutch and we have our beautiful Noritake china that we got, and we picked up a few beautiful amber pieces. Some milk glass.
Also a little owl.
Our sweet little owl. And then we've got some other milk glass and just some stuff that we're going to, and these are from my garden. I got them dried this year, so we're all styled. We know we're ready for a holiday when the hutch is styled. Okay, so I have the pantry somewhat organized, like where I know where things are supposed to be. It's just messy, so let's clean this up. Shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes to clean this up. So we have been in this house for 4 years, and I've also been a mom for 4 years. And I feel like it's taken me every bit of that 4 years just to kind of adjust and get like a new organizational way of life. My husband and I have always been pretty minimalistic when it was just kind of like him and me, but with, you know, all the stuff that comes with kids, you just have more stuff in your life and it's like, what do I do with this? And so I've really been on the track for the past year to have a place for everything, and so when it is time to clean and it is time to put things away, it's much quicker because although this does not look, you know, it's not going to win any prizes for Instagram, but when it's time for groceries, or when it's time to put stuff away, I know where it goes and it makes it really quick and organized. Okay, pantry is done. I don't know if it's Instagram worthy, but it works for us. So we have our potatoes. Here's my little basket I carry into the kitchen. Garlic, onions, and then we just stocked up a bunch yesterday where we're really not going to need anything till the end of the year except for our Christmas ham and our Thanksgiving turkey. But we kind of have our guilty pleasures. My husband's baking. Got our little bean basket back there. And if you look at my pantry video that I redid, this has been working out really good. So everything has a place. I definitely need to redo this because I have picked up a ton of little vintage holders. And so I have a lot that I can use. I love these little French glasses. And so I have a ton of those that I'm going to be able to redo that for baking, and I think that will be nice. But yeah, we got the pantry done, so let's go ahead and move on. Jackson is pretty simple in his culinary requests, as are most 5-year-olds, I imagine. And so he's usually pretty happy with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or apples and peanut butter. And so I'm going to make that for him today. And I'm going to sit down and have a little snack with him. He is not an only child, but his brother, it almost feels like he's an only child because his brother is, 9 years older than him, and so they get along really well, and his brother is a nice playmate with him, and he's pretty patient with him, but sometimes I feel like Jackson has to do a lot of things alone, so I try to make sure that I don't just put his food in front of him, even if I might not feel like eating. I still try to eat with him so he doesn't, who likes to do things alone? It's not fun at all. So after lunch, we usually lay down and take a nap. Sometimes I take a nap with him, but I usually have too much stuff to do, and I try to work while he's napping. I usually can do my editing and voiceovers during that time. And I don't know about you guys, but is there one room in your house that just no matter how hard you try, it always has clutter and is always really dirty? That's kind of the schoolroom for me. Right when you walk in our house, the schoolroom is to the right, and so it just tends to be, and it's also kind of off to the side. And even though it's right when you walk in, you can't really see in it that much. And so it kind of seems like that's the room that we just throw everything in. And like I said, for the last year especially, I'm really concentrating on just having that base organizational skill of knowing where everything is. And it really does make it really quick to, put things back, and I can keep things cleaned every day. During nap time, I can kind of keep everything cleaned as long as I'm keeping on top of the dishes. We have, and also, we don't want to come in here and do our school when it's really messy. You just can't think. And so we've been doing a pretty good job about coming in and doing our school in our schoolroom. I've tried to make it nice and bright for Jackson, so he feels kind of inspired to learn, and he's also excited about learning. I know for myself, I really love school. It also doubles as my office, and so I try to keep track of the goats and everything I do on the farm.
So this is our little historical building that my friend and I own, and we just had an antique show this weekend, so everything is all nice and set up. And then I usually have a curtains across here, and this area is my workout area where I teach my classes. And so we just got done with our class. Hey, it was good. So we just got done with our class, and now we're gonna head back and make some dinner.
So now we are back home. It is probably about 5:15, 5:20. I generally teach my bar class 2 to 3 days a week, and I have my class from 4 to 5, and then also Jackson has Taekwondo from 4 to 5 a couple days a week. And it's also really convenient because the Taekwondo place is right next door to my building that I teach in, and so it makes it really easy. We can go down there as a family, and then by the time we get home, Damien gets home from the bus around I'd say 4:30, and so we can get dinner going. And when it's fall, which it is now, and winter time, it seems like that time between dinner and bedtime is just so much more compressed. And then when you start adding farm chores and milking and all of that in, it feels like we don't have a lot of time in the evenings. It feels like it goes pretty quickly. But we try to stay on schedule. We try to sit down and have dinner by at least 6 o'clock at the latest. In the summertime, it's a little bit easier to, we can eat late. But fall, we like to keep it on schedule. And I have really neglected the garden probably for the entire month of September, but we are still getting some nice tomatoes. I went out there and I got actually probably that bowl that you see, that and more, probably double that. I got tomatoes out of the garden, and I was just like, no, I am done canning and preparing them and, taking the skin off. And so I'm hoping this week that I can just make a lot of tomato based dishes where I don't have to can them. So using as much as we can this evening. And then also the onions are from our garden. We got a nice little harvest this spring, summer. I don't think it'll last us through the winter. We're going to have to plant more next year, but it was a nice little harvest. I think I'm going to plant a couple of different kinds too. So now I am going to roll out our tortillas. And this is a flatbread recipe, so you can ferment it for a little bit longer and have it, rise much more. This is just going to be for tortillas, so it's going to be flat anyway. And so it's going to be a much thinner piece of bread, but it's pretty versatile. You can make it nice and poofy if you like that as well. And once you get into the habit of making sourdough things, when my sister comes over, she's like, oh my goodness, just buy some tortillas. And I'm like, why are you taking so much time to do all this? She finds it highly annoying. But it's just like anything, once you get in the habit of doing it, it is, much better for you if you have the time. And doing it all at once is kind of overwhelming, but if you just start and just do a little bit, maybe like, hey, I'm gonna just make bread and just buy everything else. And that's not to say that sometimes we don't buy, prepackaged stuff. I try not to, but hey, sometimes you don't have a lot of time and you just kind of make the best choices that you can. But I use my cast iron almost exclusively to cook, and especially making breads. It's really nice. I'll do like a sourdough skillets, and it can go from, oven to stovetop to oven. So I really like using my cast iron to cook with. Good night, girls. I love you. See you little girls in the morning, okay? Good night. Night, Moni. Good night, baby Junies.
Mom? Okay,
We'll see you tomorrow. And now that all the animals are fed, milked, and put away, it's time for the dogs to begin their evening shift. They are usually up almost all night and they sleep during the day. And so we are going to wind down, get all of the dishes done. I really try to make sure that I always have the dishes done in the evening, because who likes to wake up to, a dirty kitchen? It just, makes a already kind of overwhelming day or busy day, it makes it that much harder. So I try to get that done, even though it seems like I always have something in the sink, whether it's like a sourdough dish that's soaking, or if it's, the milk pail soaking overnight. At least we, kind of have things set up and ready for us to have a nice day tomorrow morning. All right, we are all done for the evening. Thank you so much for spending the day with us. We fed the puppies, and then we just are going to have showers and bedtime.
And then we're ready for tomorrow.
And we're ready for tomorrow. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.